The minute the Republicans do that, Obama has no lever to hold over their heads.
I'd be more, now I'm going back, I'm more of a Tea Party guy than you. I would do that, but I would say, in return, you have to put in writing you're going to cut a certain amount out of the budget for us to even give you that.
Right.
You've got to do that. I'm more of a Tea Party guy than you. I'm more of a Tea Party guy than you. I'm more of a Tea Party guy than you. I'm more of a Tea Party guy than you.
But I got news for you. If Michelle Bachmann wins the presidency of the United States, she's going to have to raise the debt limit.
Of course.
You cannot.
Look, as we talked with Karl Rove last night,
the budget by 40% in 1 week.
Do it because of the American economy. Not even that.
Not just the economy, the defense budget.
Well, do you want to see the stock market drop 1,000 points? Do you really want that?
Far more. But I do want to say this. All of this nonsense, and it is nonsense, I'd use a stronger word, about how we're going to default if we don't raise the debt limit is ridiculous. First of all, the federal government owes about $200 billion and more in debt service the rest of the year. It's going to take in over $1 trillion in revenue and taxes in the rest of the year.
Well, Rove had this little chart last night. Look, the bottom line on it is, I agree with you.
Wait a sec, hang on. But then I also think that the Republicans could make this go away in a minute by passing a conditional increase in the debt limit, saying if the Treasury Secretary says he needs this money to avert default and he's got no other way to do it, we're going to let him increase the debt limit only to stop America from defaulting on its credit. The minute the Republicans do that, Obama has no lever to hold over their heads.
I'd be more, now I'm going back, I'm more of a Tea Party guy than you. I would do that, but I would say, in return, you have to put in writing you're going to cut a certain amount out of the budget for us to even give you that.
Right.
You've got to do that.
The president's statements about what may or may not happen to Social Security checks in the event of a debt ceiling crisis has inspired the Murdoch editorial writers to advise freshman Tea Party Republicans to not trust the polls they're looking at today. Quote, the polls that now find that voters oppose a debt limit increase will turn on a dime when Americans start learning that they won't get Social Security checks. If the Republicans had a plan that they thought would work when they took the debt ceiling hostage, it could only have been the misguided expectation that when the moment came for the presidential decision in these discussions, Barack Obama would simply cave to the hostage takers' demands. Ironically, others who shared that view as the possible outcome here on the left side of our politics have positions in the blogosphere and megaphones that in which they have relentlessly trumpeted their distrust of Barack Obama's strength of character and his command of presidential power. As of tonight, the one person who we know is not panicking about what to do next is Barack Obama. Eric Cantor, however, has just described the meeting tonight at the White House this way to reporters. He, the president, got very agitated, said that he had sat there long enough, that Ronald Reagan wouldn't sit here like this, and that he's reached the point that something's got to give. A Democratic aide tells NBC Cantor's account of tonight's meeting Richard,
is completely
reports are dribbling out now about what happened in the White House at this meeting. Eric Cantor trying to give an account in which he describes the president as walking out, which I think is proof that Cantor now knows what a horrible, horrible political choice it was for him to proudly and loudly walk out of the meetings earlier.
Well, I was just talking to White House sources earlier this evening, just before the show began, and they tell me that, yes, the president ended the meeting, but Cantor's position has been overblown. His account is overblown. And they say the president did express frustration after a long meeting in which they discussed many things and made some progress. But in the end, the president's position was this. He said, and I quote, "Everything happening in this room is what the American people hate about this town." He said that the negotiators, the House leaders had until Friday to figure out a deal, and he urged them to stop reading from their talking points, that they had to come up with a compromise, and that meant that if they didn't come up with a compromise, they would be facing default. So this was a contentious meeting. He thinks that that the Republican position that the debt increase has to be matched dollar for dollar with spending cuts is just not feasible in any way. So this was a president who has reached that point of no return, but the idea that he lost his cool, in my experience, everything that this president does, even behind closed doors, has been measured, has been thought through, and his expressions of frustration are one more marker along that line.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get the American public to believe that the president who got those Somali kidnappers, who got Osama bin Laden with calm, cool deliberation in the White House Situation Room is the guy who's going to lose his head in a meeting like this. And, you know, look, I've got a bunch of experience in presidential meetings, in the White House, in budget negotiations. Guess who always ends a meeting in the White House? The president. It's over when the president gets up to leave. Whenever the president has to leave, he gets up to leave. There's no news there. I want to read you, Richard, what one Democratic aide told NBC News about what happened in the White House meeting today. He said the meeting was tense but constructive. Republicans were called on the carpet for trying to have it both ways, insisting that cuts be dollar for dollar with the debt ceiling raise, and warning about the Moody's warning on the debt, and finally saying Eric Cantor sat there speechless. This is now that thing that always happens in these closed-door meetings. The press isn't in there, and so each side kind of runs to the microphone and tries to get control of the imagery.
And the Republican presidential candidates continue to be challenged by pledges they just can't keep.
There's something out there called the marriage vow.
Michelle Bachmann, who attempted to explain why she did sign it.
That statement was not on the document that I signed.
Former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty has announced he will not sign a marriage pledge.
Stephen Colbert's pledge shock collar.
If the candidate ever forgets the pledges he has signed, and I don't know, inadvertently says we should raise taxes on the top 2% of America.